Welcome to Corpse Club, the official podcast of dailydead.com. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jonathan James, and I'm joined today by Derek Anderson, Bryan Christopher, and Scott Drebit. In this episode, we're going to be catching up on some of our recent watches. We've seen a number of new movies. We've seen some movies that came out a little bit earlier this year, but we're still catching up on them now, so we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to switch topics to talking about what we haven't seen. As we've talked about in past episodes, and I know our listeners are, running into the same thing, there are so many movies and TV shows and horror video games and comic books that it's kind of hard to catch up. So we're going to hold each other to the fact that we are going to, at the very least, catch up on what we've talked about today. We'll let you know what we think in a future episode. But we want to start out with what we have seen. And Derek, I'm going to start with you. I want to get your thoughts. I know you've seen the new Paranormal Activity, and I haven't caught it. I actually, interestingly enough, I didn't even catch the last one. I had been a diehard Paranormal Activity fan. I really liked the Paranormal Activity movies. If I was a diehard fan, I would have already seen the new one and the last one. But I liked the Paranormal Activity movies, and then I didn't see the last one. And then I haven't caught the new one yet. So what do you think?
You are not alone. I also have not seen The Ghost Dimension, which came out in 2015, which was 6 years ago. It kind of feels like that movie came out 2 or 3 years ago, but it's already been over half a decade, which is that in itself takes some time to process. But yeah, so this one is called Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. It was released on Paramount Plus, the streaming service, on October 29th. And me, my sister, and brother-in-law, we sat down to watch this. We hadn't seen like Ghost Dimension, but this one, if you're not caught up on the franchise, it's okay, because this is essentially like a reboot. It's kind of getting away from the Katie and Toby storylines of the, oh gosh, it's like, I guess, previous 6 movies, and it's kind of doing its own thing and kind of taking the franchise in a new direction. And if you haven't seen the trailer, kind of just a brief rundown of it is this young woman has taken a ancestry test and found out that she has a relative because she was adopted, given up at birth. So she never really knew her birth parents, and she found out through this ancestry test that she has a relative at an Amish community, and this cousin of hers brings her back to the community, and as kind of like a project, she brings with her friend who's who's like a filmmaker, and then they hire this sound guy off of like Craigslist or something similar, and they all kind of hop in the van and they go to this Amish community. It's a lot different than when Oren Peli was making that first one in the suburban San Diego house. This is like you're out in the countryside. It's very isolated. It's in the winter, which is really cool. So there's like snow on the ground. I believe they filmed it around Buffalo, New York. So it's a really interesting setting and a perfect setting for this type of story. And as they are trying to learn about her history and her birth mother, they start to realize that all is not as it seems in this community, and that there's some secrets that this kind of old-fashioned family is hiding from them, and things just kind of get more and more creepy from there. But it's I really liked it. I know it's kind of been polarizing to some viewers, but I think they do a really good job kind of amping things up as it goes along. And I actually wish the movie was longer. I thought the third act was really, really cool. I think it actually hits its stride in the third act and turns into a completely different movie, which I absolutely loved. And it's written by Christopher Landon, who is one of my favorite filmmakers. He directed Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, and worked on the screenplays for a lot of the previous sequels. And then, of course, did like the Happy Death Day movies and Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. So he does a lot of cool things creatively in the screenplay. And then it's directed by William Eubank, who directed Underwater, which also feels like it came out 5 years ago, but actually came out in 2020. So it's really interesting, and I would say kind of as a twist, if you like Resident Evil Biohazard, it kind of gave me those vibes after it was all said and done. So I really enjoyed it overall.
Well, that kind of sold me on it. Not the plot piece, just the biohazard.
Yeah.
But no, I'm kind of an easy sell for this one. I think it's just been a time thing. I even have Paramount Plus, so.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I'll check it out.
And it's 98 minutes, so it's not a super long time commitment. I know Christopher Landon too. He was saying they wanted to really take it in a different direction, and that there were some. I don't know if it ended up being exactly the movie they wanted, but I think they succeeded in taking it somewhere new and trying something different.
I have not seen a Paranormal Activity movie since the third one, and I literally had absolutely no interest in this one until you mentioned that it was in a more rural setting in the winter. That kind of piques my interest a little bit. I was a little disappointed because when you said it was in the Amish community, I wonder if it was going to be shot around, because I come from kind of like, I grew up in the classic Amish country of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So usually when people want to do like Amish stuff, they'll do it in that area. But Buffalo's fine, I guess.
They did it close to, yeah, it's close to me, right? I think, Derek, we figured out is an hour away, 40 minutes. No, it's like 40 minutes away. I remember the area you told me it was, and I've been there. And yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, are there like Amish communities in that area, or did they just like, okay, this is a nice rural area, we can fake the rest of it?
Now that I can't comment on. I know when I said like, yeah, I've been there, like it seems like I'm the no, I've been in that area. There's like a jazz fest like around there. So like
a very Amish.
Yeah, exactly. Festival. So, but for all I know, there's an Amish community like 5 minutes away. I don't know the area that well, but like I said, I could drive there if I wanted to like visit the areas of Paranormal Activity.
Cool.
And yeah, it's really, they really take advantage of that setting. There's like an eerie kind of church on the other side of the woods, and there's snowy fields and creepy stuff happening at night. And so I wish that we had more found footage like in the countryside like this, because it's just super creepy the way that they can capture that environment. And then also it just takes a turn. There's a scene in the movie where kind of the Resident Evil type scene where it's like one of my favorite shots that I've seen in anything this year. And that's why I wish we had more I wish the movie went on even further. And I don't know if we'll ever get a direct sequel to this, but it definitely, I would love to see where things could go. But yeah, it's super interesting how they did it. There's some good comic relief in there as well. The sound guy that they get off of like a wanted ad online is just hilarious. I think that's Dan Lippert as Dale, but there's just a lot of interesting things going on in the movie. It kind of leaves a little more questions too, which I know if you want everything neatly answered, you might have a couple of things that linger afterwards, but I liked the whole mystery of it and how they kind of leave you thinking about what really happened too.
Well, hell, after 6 movies, from what I've told, they never really wrapped up the Katie Toby storyline, did they?
Yeah, not that I know. Yeah, I don't know if that ever got.
We don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We'll have to come back for our Ghost Dimension episode. But yeah, so I would recommend it. I know it's with so many streaming services, it's hard to get something just to watch it, but I know there's like free trials that you can do, and there's a lot of good content on Paramount Plus as well if you're into horror and sci-fi. So if you're looking to mix things up a little bit, there's I think this is definitely something to check out on there.
Yeah, I will have to do it. I have no excuse not to, because I have it for free.
Right.
Cool. But yeah, I have to add it to the list. Scott, I know, and I know we're going to turn to you in a minute, but
yeah,
I know the movie you saw. I was talking earlier about how it came out a while back, but it wasn't that long ago. It's a fairly new movie. It just seems like it was so long ago.
Yes.
So what movie did you catch up on?
Well, that very movie is The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It.
Seriously, how long? Because I can't gauge. How long ago did that come out?
6 months.
Really?
Was it summer?
Is that
Was it
really
a summer movie?
That movie came out this year.
It was, yeah.
June
You go straight
4th.
to hell.
I didn't
That's the name
say
of the
of this
sequel.
year. I thought it was 98. But so yeah. Hi folks, welcome to the best Conjuring movie for me. And the reason is really simple. The first two Conjuring movies, I enjoyed them both. But what I find going back and watching them is there's a heavy, let's say, Catholic spirit about the movies and a very religious tone, especially as it relates to, Catholicism. They're very, let's just say they're pious movies, you may even say. The third one dials back the talk about faith in God and etc., and focuses more on the relationship just as man and woman between the Warrens. Wherever you sit with the Warrens stuff, it's still fascinating to watch. And why I really like this is when that layer of kind of piousness is taken away, then I love this movie like it becomes, I could see this being like a monster of the week feel, because that's how this one felt to me. It felt like separate and apart from the other two. And it was really more about, like I said, a man and a woman connecting. The effects are really good. I thought there were some good jumps. And to me, it was the most fun of the Conjuring movies. And this is the kind of one that I would like to see from now on, because like I said, that sense of importance is dialed down and it just becomes this like really cool monster of the week movie. So I really dug it.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad you really liked it. I mean, I saw, again, it does seem like it was ages ago. And so I haven't thought about it too much since we had originally talked about it. I did enjoy it. I wouldn't say it was my favorite of the Conjurings, but I'm happy that it's your favorite.
Thanks,
I think I was looking for, and I guess I heard that apparently it got cut, that they were going to have some more like, I guess kind of like, I felt like for Conjuring 2, like them adding Valak like really stepped up that movie. And that was a late addition. And I guess there was going to be another creature I'm trying not to spoil it. There's going to be another creature kind of to that level. And that didn't end up making the final cut. And so I think I was kind of looking for that, but also like if this had been like a pilot for like a Conjuring TV show, like it would have been perfect. So I did feel, and I think I may even mention that it did feel more like it was setting up for like more adventures with the Warrens. And like, I could have imagined it as like a weekly thing. Like they kind of set the tone and the pace. And so, yeah, I guess the only thing is we just want to see more of it.
And what a problem to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's also a case of, are we at Conjuring burnout stage? I don't think, I mean, we're on how many Paranormal Activities now, some thought and care does go into these movies. I don't think they're assembly lines. So I think it's just a matter of not oversaturating with the Warrens and this type of material. They kind of rolled that dice when they did Annabelle Comes Home, and they had the Warrens be, kind of like annexed characters in it, but it worked. But, I'm sure they're looking for that balance so that people just don't get tired of the Warrens. But really, I think that's the secret sauce. That's why people keep coming back.
And I do wonder what they have planned, because, usually we do know that they have like another Conjuring movie in the works. It's been for like the last 10 years. And even though we've heard, I mean, I know that we've heard about a potential sequel to The Nun and Crooked Man and stuff like that. Like we haven't, like nothing's officially like gone into production as far as I know. So, they may be taking, and of course COVID was definitely a part of that, I'm sure, but it seems like they're taking just a little bit of a break or a little bit of the foot off the gas with the Conjuring franchise.
Or maybe Malignant was secretly a Conjuring universe movie and we just don't know it yet.
It was so secretly that we just, even after watching it, you still don't know it's part of the Conjuring universe.
At the end, like the Warrens walk into the jail cell where they're holding Malignant, and they're like, we're creating a team.
God.
We're putting together a team.
Annabelle is like the group's like Rocket Raccoon.
Right. Annabelle's in the corner smoking a cigarette. You interested? We're putting together a team.
Oh man, I hate this so much. This is such a terrible idea.
Hey, it's what sells tickets.
It is potentially one of the worst ideas I've ever heard. I'm kind of in awe of it, really.
And there's no explanation as to why they're working together.
Who cares?
Oh, Valak's like flying the helicopter. You guys ready yet?
Yeah, they're all now good guys with absolutely no explanation as to why.
I mean, I've flipped for, but I have to see it.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say now I kind of want to see this.
This is phase 2 of the Conjuring universe.
You can just HBO Max it and say it doesn't count. It's like an HBO Max original. It's non-canonical.
Yes. There you go.
What if the Conjuring villains teamed up?
Oh my gosh.
You could
With the
crowdfund
Harlem
that.
Globetrotters.
There you go.
Yeah, you could crowdfund this. Somebody would pay.
At the very least, you could do an animated movie or TV series, right?
Scooby-Doo meets the Conjuring villains.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
We
We already know IB Trav, the artist IB Trav, already does great Scooby-Doo tie-in artwork, so we know who to call for the animation.
I always thought a cool idea for an animated show would be a horror. This is like the rural juror, but a horror lawyer. He defends like super villains, like horror villains, like Freddy and Jason and everything in court. And it's just court cases of the horror lawyer defending his clients. I thought it'd be a good show.
That would be awesome.
No, you should copyright that.
For real, that would be amazing.
Copyright.
I swear to God, we've talked about this.
We have.
So familiar.
I know we have, because I threw out I said we should call it Raw Law.
Oh yeah. You know what? This happens sometimes. I mean, but I think Scott and I do it. I mean, maybe every one of us is guilty. And so
I've 100% done it.
Yeah, for our listeners, sometimes they're like, "Didn't they already talk about that?" They're laughing at this joke that they already talked about, and it's like, no, I forgot about this, Scott.
I apologize to everyone out there if I have spoken of this before.
No, like I did not bring it up to apologize. It's more just like I want to make sure I'm not going crazy, because I'm like, we have talked about this, right? Like this didn't happen in a dream or something.
I think he
like
brought
that.
it up in a different way, though. I don't think he mentioned like Freddy and Jason.
Okay.
Somebody's going to pull up the episode and be like, no, he said exactly Freddy and Jason.
And I also don't remember if it was on the actual episode or if it was after we recorded an episode.
Oh, that could be it.
So
too.
it's really going to be difficult.
All of this stuff that I'm sure our listeners is really excited about.
Well, no,
did we talk about this or not? Or was it before?
I liked the idea. I thought it was funny. And then I said the name and I go, well, I can't pronounce that, but that's the only thing it can be called.
This is going to get worse, though, 20, 30 years from now. We're going to forget things we talked about on the actual episode. Or like 2 weeks ago, it was like you talked about Halloween Kills, and then the next episode, you're talking about Halloween Kills again. Well, we know, listeners, that you want to know everybody's thoughts about it. So we're inclusive. We bring Tamika in. And we are also, if Scott wants to talk about his horror lawyer again, who are we to tell him not to talk about it for the 10th time on Corpse Club?
Evil repeats tonight.
Don't spoil Halloween Ends for us, Scott.
Nothing will spoil Halloween Ends. Not the return of Jesus Christ himself would spoil the gloriousness that has to be Halloween Ends.
I mean, there's a 30% chance Jesus Christ is going to be in that movie, just with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
No, okay. Okay then.
Yes. You sold me.
Thanks for yes ending, you bunch of dicks.
well, Brian, we'll move things over to you. And
I don't even need the pamphlet.
Yeah, why don't you tell us what you've been watching, Brian? And it better not be Halloween Kills.
No. My movie is one where if you watched The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, and you were like, I really like the story this is based off of, but I'd really like to see a really shittier version of it, then have I got the movie for you. It is a 1983 made-for-TV movie called The Demon Murder Case, which may be the most generic movie title I've ever heard in my life, but it is based off of the same, real-life case by Ed and Lorraine Warren, but in this case, it's Guy Harris and Charlotte Harris are kind of their stand-ins. They had to use pseudonyms for whatever reason, played by Andy Griffith and Beverly McKinsey. So I would actually argue that that's closer to the real life pair than Wilson Farmiga, but this is such a weird little nugget of like made for TV nostalgia, because it's actually kind of star-studded. Like in addition to Griffith, Kevin Bacon's in it, Richard Massur's in it, Cloris Leachman's in it. Like there's like names in this movie, but it's also like Kevin Bacon right before he hit it really big with Footloose, and I think he was still kind of getting his bearings in terms of I don't know if I'll say it's a little stilted from Mr. Bacon in this one, but I think he's also trying to kind of get his bearings in a movie that's just real weird. It's the same basic premise where this kid gets possessed, but it basically manifests itself as the kid like blowing raspberries at people in a demonic voice for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, and then cutting to the next scene. There's definitely like the courtroom element, but it's more of a framing thing. And then it kind of tells the story, the movie in flashbacks. It's just real bizarre. Scott, I think you've maybe seen this one. I think you've written about it, haven't you?
I did watch it, and I was going to do It Came from the Tube on it. And I just thought it was kind of flat. And
yeah, it's just kind of there.
The events as described are certainly astounding and ridiculous, but the shackles of the TV standards kind of brings it all pretty much earthbound. As for Bacon, I thought he was all right. I think the dialogue is terrible, and God bless him for.
Yeah, I think he
trying,
did the best, the best he could with what he had. But yeah, it's more just, if you're going to watch it, I would say it's more for just kind of the novelty of seeing like this weird dollar store version of the Conjuring version. And just seeing this kind of very disparate group of people starring together in this movie. Because Cloris Leachman plays like a reporter, but she just kind of like pops in and out randomly. I don't think she actually interacts with anybody in the main cast. She's more just kind of like a segue device. It's fine.
No, I liked it. I liked it too. Yeah, it was. It has it, like I said, it has interesting elements. I think if you just have to temper yourself for that TV movie level, which isn't some kind of put down or something. But it's just when your standards are different and your budgets are different, and different things are being considered, you will end up, no matter how good it is, it's going to be different than what it ain't Conjuring money. Let's put it this way. It's Johnson and Johnson money.
And again,
so, yeah,
you know what you're
getting
fun with the title, The Demon Murder Case.
Yeah.
Like the same level of craft is put into the movie as the title.
Yes, exactly. It's like generic beer, demon murder case, but it's fun. It's fun enough for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even know this was a movie, so now I need to seek it out.
I mean, I wouldn't, if we're putting together our to-do list, I would say you can leave this one on.
This is on my to-do list for today.
I like Brian's like, don't rush.
Don't do it.
You don't have
You
to
don't
rush.
need it.
Take your time. Walk. Don't
What did you
walk.
find it on? What's
On YouTube?
Yeah. I think there's a few different not great versions on YouTube, and honestly, and I don't feel bad about saying that because I don't think you're going to find it anywhere else.
Well, there's no special vinegar syndrome.
Yeah. You're not taking money out of Arrow's pocket or anything like that.
You're not even taking money out of Kevin Bacon's mouth. His mouth.
He puts it in his mouth.
I like how we got that in real time. What did I just say?
Like he was the first person to give himself
I know.
shit.
I love it.
Good times.
Good times. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about what I saw. What did I see? I'm gonna because I always cheat. I saw Red Notice on Netflix. So I watched that. Yeah, it was
So you were the one.
I was one of those people, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, if you saw the trailer, that's what you're getting. It's like what do you call it? It's like kind of like little National Treasury. So if you like National Treasure and you're like, I'm looking for something like that, then this would be your jam.
Wow.
I think I might just watch National Treasure.
I mean, you could do that too. I mean, this movie is not bad at all. This movie is just, I mean, again, movies don't have to be great. They don't have to be horrible. A movie can just be okay. This one was, for me, it was just okay.
But is it cinema?
Shut up.
Shut up, Derek.
Is it long?
Somebody mute him.
But is it long? How long is
Just
it?
2 minutes, 2 minutes shy of 2 hours.
Okay, that's fine. Because everything's going 220.
Yeah, no, this one isn't that long.
Oh my gosh.
I think this movie just doesn't know exactly what it wants to be. So I think the movie's like a very different style movie in the first act versus the second versus the third. So,
and I think the thing that puts me off about it is that, and someone pointed this out on Twitter. They were like, this $200 million Netflix movie came out 3 days ago and literally nobody's talking about it. So like,
but the biggest opening in Netflix history.
But that's what I was going to say. Like, Twitter can definitely be skewed a little bit because, think about how many people are watching it.
Yeah.
Or not. Who's to say? Netflix pulls this number out of their bum and
they do have actually third-party services which can kind of validate what they're doing, like like the Nielsen ratings. They do have like that version of it. So there are services that are tracking streaming, and I guess technically the ISPs might be able to do some of that as well. But anyway, there are ways to kind of validate some of this. You're not going to get as good as their numbers, but you're going to get somewhere in the ballpark.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's right now, I think eventually it's going to be standardized because, they have different measurement or like success measurement. Like when somebody watches it, they have to watch so much of the movie. Like I remember they said with Squid Game, they had stats, which I find interesting about like how many people actually watched it all the way through, and like a surprising number did. But I think they're going to be more transparent about that. I think there'll probably be some kind of standardization there at some point.
Yeah, and I mean, and of course, it completely ties to advertising, which we as a viewer don't care about. I'm a numbers guy too. I mean, I think I think a lot of us who really, love movies, we love all aspects of it, and are love the, the minutiae of this kind of thing. I just love seeing, I don't care who's first or second. I don't care who had the biggest opening, but I just like seeing who it was and why, and if there's any correlation between this, that, or the other, not to take away or add to the merit of the movie. Whatever. I like numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the thing that turns me off about Red Notice is the same thing that kind of turns me off about like when they form supergroups. Like, this was clearly a movie that was crafted to like, let's just put these three really big names together. And I know a lot of movies do that. I know I'm basically describing show business, but like there's something very, very manufactured about this to me for some reason, where it's like these three people are extremely hot right now. Let's just combine them, have them do their shtick, maybe slap together a reason for them to be together, and then, let's make a bunch of money. As opposed to like the reason that, certain bands that aren't manufactured that way hit a chord, because there's that feeling of like something coming together that you didn't know was going to work. So to a certain degree, like putting Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot in a movie together, something about that is clearly going to work because they all know what they're doing. But it's also not kind of like leaving something open for that kind of, that surprise or that little kind of swirl of magic or whatever. This is just all seems very safe.
You know what? I'm all for the manufactured part, I guess, if it's well manufactured, right? For me, I think, and I haven't seen this, I don't have the urge to see it. I think it comes down to if you enjoy the chemistry of any three of these people together. I'm not a Gal Gadot fan. The Rock's starting to wear me down. I still like Ryan Reynolds. But having said that, these are the kinds of movies that I grew up in when you're talking about putting the hottest star from this and the hottest star from that together in a movie. Maybe the difference being that those were, better made movies, better written movies. Maybe they didn't have to be 2 goddamn hours. Maybe they could be an hour and a half. These are just random thoughts on the showbiz machine as it applies to this. But I think it really does just come down to that chemistry and whether you dig it or not. And a lot of people like all three of these stars. That is a big pull, and I could see those cherries lining up on the slot machine for Netflix on this one for sure. But just I'm not pulling the one-armed bandit.
And yeah, it's interesting because we have like, I've seen online, like whether it's some of the reviews or some of the sentiment does talk about how Red Notice was like, feels like it's manufactured by Netflix. I think I remember hearing that too with like, this was something they like tossed at Lincoln Park a lot. There was like the rumor that had been like assembled by committee. And
so it was produced by like an algorithm. It feels like.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard. But I guess the problem I have with that though is that like the movie that I will talk about in more detail in a minute, like Dune, you could kind of say it's the same thing, and to some degree, right? Is that you take a lot of the hottest stars with one of the hottest directors, you put it together, and in this case, you get a really great movie. So I think everybody wanted, like, who worked, and I guess that's the thing, right? So I think to some degree, and I don't know the behind the scenes story. So if the behind the scenes story is that they had like the Netflix computer, assemble the script, and I am joking. But then of course I'd be like, oh, well, then this was weird. But, I have to imagine that all the people who tried to make the movie were trying to make the best possible movie they could. It didn't work. It didn't work out, 100%. But Like, I don't have anything against the fact that it was like that Netflix put it together or that it's the three hottest stars. It just didn't work out as well as some of these other films.
And I also have to offer the fact that it just might not be my cup of tea, and also recognizing the fact that, like, I, like everybody else, can tend to be a little full of shit sometimes. So, like, the thing I kind of compare it to is like this compared to like Tango and Cash. Like, they were likely doing the exact same thing back in the late 80s, where they're like, let's take Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone and stick them together in a movie. People will love that. And I 100% did. So just because it doesn't work for me at this time doesn't necessarily mean that it's like this shallow exercise that, shouldn't be done. But just for whatever reason, this one just wasn't grabbing me.
Yeah, I am just curious. Like, I wonder what's in what's in the social Kool-Aid, because you're not alone. So was it the marketing? Is it that people are tired of seeing, Ryan Reynolds just did Free Guy. And I think the thing that actually I think kind of hurts this movie a little bit more, for me anyway, is that The Rock just did Jungle Cruise, and this movie overlaps for sure. There's definitely like a thematic overlap I was surprised about. They could almost be it could almost be like in the same universe. And even though it's definitely not the case. And so there may be a little bit of burnout there, and maybe that's what it is. But this one, like I said, this one it's a good bit of fun. I think anybody who, like, if you like The Rock, if you like Ryan Reynolds, like, you're going to like this movie. If you liked Free Guy, you're going to like this movie. Like Jungle Cruise, you're going to like this movie. It's not the best movie they've done, but you'll have a good time.
You know what? Since we're throwing suggestions to people, let me latch on to you there and add on that Michelle and I just finished watching Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and we really enjoyed it.
Same.
Same.
Yeah.
Which is also funny because it's like, I'm tired of these stupid studio cookie cutter movies. Shang-Chi was awesome, though.
It really developed the characters well, and it was really about the characters. Some terrific set pieces, and I really like the different tempo of this story and different feel. It did feel a little different from the Marvel machinery. I mean, it's still there, and you can still hear it whirring, but there is more of a gentle and personal voice in this one, and I thought Awkwafina was fantastic in it.
She's funny. I like her. And I feel like the third act for that one was where it really kind of took on its own personality and visual flavor that kind of took it to somewhere that separates it from just kind of the standard Marvel movie kind of rigmarole.
Yeah, it had more in common. I would pair it with if your kids were a little bit older, you could pair it with Raya and The Last Dragon, which Awkwafina is also in as The Last Dragon. And it could, because that last act of Shang-Chi and Raya and The Last Dragon have that same kind of vivaciousness and just brightness about them, so yeah, there you go. So there's three. So here you go for your horror recommendations. We have Shang-Chi, which is tied to Raya and the Last Dragon, which leads us back to Jonathan's pick,
which is Dune. Which it's a horror movie. It's about the horrors of living on Arrakis, and if that's not a horror movie, I don't know what is. But yeah, so Dune. Now this is one of those interesting ones because, like, this could have been a train wreck, right? This could have been one of those where it's like, it's a huge cast, it's a huge budget. We've seen Dune in multiple iterations.
I was going to say, you just described the David Lynch one, right? In terms of a train wreck, from what I've heard about it. And I say this, I 100%. This is purely personal like preference. I have never been that into Dune, so I haven't seen the original and probably not going to see this one, but it's nothing to do with like I think it's bad. It's just kind of not my wheelhouse.
You are grumpy today. But no, that's totally cool. I have been into Dune for quite some time. I read the book when I was in grade school, or the books, I should say. One of my first video gaming experiences was Dune 2. If you played RTS games from Westwood, like Command and Conquer and Red Alert, Tiberian Sun, all of those games, not everybody is aware that their first game was that format, but with Dune characters and Dune vehicles. And
so why Dune 2 though?
Because it's technically a sequel to the original book or the movie. I don't think they sequelized the movie, but I think they sequelized the story.
Okay.
They did the same thing for Blade Runner, actually, as I'm taking us way off topic, but I think they remastered that. So their Blade Runner game back in the day was really good. So anyway, R.I.P. Westwood. I used to love that game studio. But yeah, so anyway, so I played the video game. I liked the Lynch version. I had no problem with it. I didn't know about, any, what do you call it? There was no internet back then.
No,
So
it would have been a fire, because I remember when it came out, and they might as well have called it Hindenburg, the movie. It had that vibe by the time it literally hit the screen,
Yeah.
It really did. It really did.
But I didn't know about any of that. So, little me was watching it. I'm like, okay, I like this. I like this. Sandworms and all kinds of stuff. And it gelled with, what I had in my mind, at least to some degree, from the book. And then I watched the mini series there's 2 of them on Sci-Fi. And when I was younger, I really enjoyed those. I haven't seen them in ages, but I had William Hurt. James McAvoy was in the second one. And, so I've always liked Dune, but so when I heard they were going to do a big screen adaptation, I was excited, but it was like, I'm okay either way, because I still always have the book. But yeah, the movie was beautiful. It's such a, from Blade Runner and Arrival and all of that. We knew it was going to look great, but yeah, I think that they really did a great job of dealing with this big story and focusing it into an almost 3-hour movie or 3-hour movie in a way that was accessible to people who didn't know what Dune was, but still was really good sci-fi and a really good representation of this for people that had read the book. Has anybody, Derek, you've seen it, right? Has anybody else seen it? Scott, you haven't seen it yet?
I have not seen it. I have seen the only version I've seen. My Dune credentials are I've seen the Dune version, no book, nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see this recently, and it is definitely one of the most memorable experiences I've had seen a movie just in recent memory, just because it's such a giant movie. It feels like, and I'm saying this as someone who hasn't read the book. I haven't seen the David Lynch movie. I haven't seen the miniseries. So I'm completely new to this world. I've heard about the Dune books for a long time. And I'm, so I was new to Spice World, though. I was coming into it, not really knowing what to expect. And it just kind of blew me away. It really was, it was such the movie felt really dangerous. It was, kind of took me back to a New Hope Star Wars era, where it just felt like anything could happen and any character could die. And it just felt really dangerous. And Stellan Skarsgård as the villain is the freakiest character I've seen on screen this year. When he floats up and looks like he's he looks like he's 20 feet tall, and basically is just kind of floating around the room like he's in The Exorcist or something like that. It's just some of the creepiest visuals I've seen in a long time. And so, and I know Dave Bautista is also playing kind of one of the villains, but for my money, Stellan was just so just commanded the screen and was just so, oh man, just really got under my skin. And I know it's kind of been a polarizing movie in some ways. it definitely is set up as a part one. Like, this is not a complete movie. This is like, I really hope they do move forward with that sequel, as they've kind of hinted at, because this is not this is like, okay, this is part one of what is going to be at least a 2-part story for this version. But I was blown away, and the visuals and the acting, and it just really was a spectacle. So I had a lot of fun with it.
I've seen Spice World. I don't remember any of this in Spice World, Derek. What are you talking about?
Well, it's more of a spiritual sequel to Spice World. So
the scariest thing in Spice World was the Meatloaf cameo.
So, I mean, you don't have to be a Spice World purist necessarily, but I think it would help having that knowledge going into this. But yeah, it was, and I don't even really understand all the references and all the plot developments. Like, I feel like there's probably a director's cut that would explain some things that I have questions about, or I'd have to read the book to really completely understand it. But I really didn't care, because it was such a fun, like, fascinating movie to watch. And I didn't really feel like any one character was safe. It was very, like, it's a very gloomy and dark movie, but also very entertaining. So it was, I was kind of surprised at the tone that they pulled off with it.
Yeah, it's a really great achievement. I think one of the biggest things for me that they managed to do is, because this is coming out obviously after many a Star Wars movie, but this was first. And in many cases, like, George Lucas was inspired by Dune, put a little Dune together, put a little Flash Gordon, and you got a lot of Star Wars. And so, Dune is kind of the genesis for that. But now you have it, coming out for teens that they don't know that. So I thought they very smartly were able to handle the costume design, the design of the world, the ships. They're very decidedly not Star Wars. The movie is shot in a way that is epic without being Star Wars, and I think was really hard to pull off. But yeah, it works well as a movie. It's nice to look at, and yeah, I just wish I agree. I wish it was a little longer. I could have used another 30 minutes.
Like 2.5 hours already.
Yeah, I mean they definitely glossed over some stuff, so I'm like, I could use another 30 minutes. But yeah, I'm excited for the next one.
So what are Dune fanatics called? Doonies, or is there a term?
I'm not part of it. As much as I like Dune, I'm not part of Dune fan culture. So
no, and this isn't,
I don't know.
This isn't like a slam or anything, but
no,
there really is a culture,
there is, but I don't know what they call themselves.
Yeah. Around Dune. I mean, I don't know if it's like big enough for like convention, but it's there, isn't it? It's wild, because it seems to me, and just from the heavily psychotronic David Lynch blurry Toto led Dune, besides being confusing, but it seems like it's very esoteric material, pretty kind of heady stuff. So I just wonder what the average Dune head or Dooney or Dune buggy is like, if they, how Star Wars people have their philosophy. Well, I wonder if there's like a Dune philosophy.
I mean, there might be, but or at least people that follow it. But I think we'll see more of it. I mean, I honestly think it has the possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying this has the chance of, replacing or being this generation's Star Wars. Because right now, Star Wars, and to some degree, I'm not saying that kids don't like it, but it's also kind of old, right? And in some cases, you could say a lot. I mean, Mandalorian's great, but a lot of the last trilogy was very uneven, very polarizing. And there are people who just aren't, they just don't watch Star Wars. I remember it was, what was it, Tom Holland from was playing Spider-Man. He made that joke about Star Wars.
Remember that
but
really old movie, The Empire
it
Strikes
came
Back?
from a real place. Yeah, he really hadn't seen them. And you hear more and more about people who are like, yeah, I know what Star Wars is. Or like, yeah, I went to go see a Star Wars movie with my friends, but like I haven't seen the old ones. And so like, even though, like I said, Dune is technically older, like we could see a trilogy of films that the quality far surpasses any 3 Star Wars movies we've seen in a row, and then they can move into TV if they want as well. So this has the potential of being a new Star Wars.
Or,
Yeah, I'll be curious.
Or witchcraft. Sure, I saw Witchcraft, the first Witchcraft back in 1872, but I haven't seen Witchcraft 17 currently streaming on Tubi.
I was like, where are you going with this?
Scott Drebit, the master of segues.
we don't know anywhere
Derek.
to go from there. Derek, what do you got? Derek, get us out of this.
Oh,
Pull up.
Yeah.
Pull up.
It had to be a comment about Dune. Yeah, I don't.
oh, Mike. Oh, yeah. I'll be curious about that because like Dune is just so like doom and gloom. Like it's very. I almost think it's less commercial than Star Wars in some ways. Like I don't know if that will. Like it's not really a feel good movie. That I don't know if I like that it's that way, but I just don't know if it's going to translate to like the Star Wars level fandom, unless unless
Game of
they
Thrones
really
did,
lean.
though.
Oh, what did?
Game of Thrones did. They just didn't stick the landing.
True.
And Dune, it's already being greenlit. They already announced that the second one is a go. So, I mean, it's someone is making money somewhere, kids.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful to see. It may not be my bag, but it's nice to see something as original as Dune, the property itself. Take on get the treatment that the fans of the book deserve.
That is true. Yeah, I feel like I think this is for the fans. I guess I can't really speak for them, but it just feels like they at least really made an effort to try and please them to some degree. So
I feel like I can speak for all fans everywhere and say I was pleased.
Excellent.
Well,
and you're a fan of Dune too, so
yeah, there it's done. Oh, and just so I can throw some additional street cred, I also played Emperor Battle for Dune, which was the first 3D real-time strategy game. It was an additional Dune game. Oh wait, no, and I'm sorry, and I played before that. I played Dune 2000, which was the 2000 remastered edition of Dune 2.
Whoa.
I'm 75% sure Jonathan's making all these games up.
I promise you can Google them right now.
He could.
That was an amazing era for PC games.
I used to love real-time strategy games. I played so many RTSs.
He could say I played, Quest for the Emerald Sphincter, and I'd go, Was that on PC or was that on?
No, I think that was Dreamcast.
That was what Dreamcast.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so
those old systems,
or maybe the Sega Saturn.
So I don't even know how long we've been talking. At least an hour, and we still have more to go. This was just the first half, listeners. I don't think it'll be the first half, but we promised
the first third.
It could be the first third. We promised that we were going to shift focus and talk about some of the things that we haven't caught up on, because there's many a movie and TV show and video game and comic book that we may want to get to, and we haven't done it yet. And so, as I've mentioned before, we always try to catch up before the end of the year because we got to get to our favorites. So I am curious about my co-hosts, like much must-watch movies. You can just give me one, or if you have a few ready to go, that's fine too. But I want to know, like, what are the movies that you need to see? And I'll hold you to them. We have a month and a half, so we want to find out if you actually, or we're going to check back in and see if you actually watched them or read them or played them.
Okay. If I may ask, what do we have up? What do we have for horror films left to go for the remainder of the year? What's on our menu?
Well, there's the first one coming out next Wednesday, the 24th, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, directed by Johannes Roberts of The Strangers Prey at Night and some other good stuff. But so that's the only like major theatrical one I can think of. I'm sure there's some coming up in December, but that's the only one that's coming to mind off the top of my head.
All right.
And I know you're a big Resident Evil fan, Scott. So
no, you know what?
I already got your ticket.
I had not realized that he was directing it. Now you definitely have my interest. I really dig Strangers Prey at Night. So yeah, no, I'm on board now. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love that that's coming out too, like right before here in the States, it's going to be Thanksgiving weekend. So you have like House of Gucci, King Richard, and then Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City, y'all. Like I just love that. That is going to be a movie that families can go out and see after they have their big meal on Thursday. They can go and see what's going on in the Resident Evil universe.
You know what? I am genuinely interested in seeing this now, but you mentioned House of Gucci, and for me to see Jared Laird go, "Hey, it's me, Jared. How you doing?" I kind of want to see that too, a lot. But I will definitely check out that Resident Evil. Like I said, I didn't know he was directing it. That actually makes me very, very interested in it.
Yeah, I'm just really curious too. I know we're going to get a TV series on Netflix in the near future as well. But this one is like, you know, I'm a big, I know some of us here at Corpse Club, myself included, are a big fan of the Alice saga that we got with Mila Jovovich. This is the first movie that's outside of that universe, or at least kind of rebooting the franchise. This is like the first live action one, I should say, that is going to like take the franchise in a new direction. So I'm just really curious, like what their whole approach will be to it. It looks like there's going to be a lot of action in it still. But yeah, with Johannes writing and directing, I'll be curious what he brings to it, because I don't think he can't make a boring movie. I think he's made that pretty clear.
You know what? There's another phrase I want to see, dead and buried. What did you say again?
Oh, he can't make a boring movie?
No, taking the franchise in a new direction.
Oh, right. Well, I know how you love the term franchise.
No, it's not that, but it's because that's such a common term, right? We're taking the franchise in a new direction. Thank you. I was, really hoping you were going to keep it in the same. Who's going to say we're doing exactly the same movie as the last time? We literally just changed the number on the poster.
It's a shot-for-shot remake. The poster's going to cross out the 2 and put in a 3.
Taking it in a new direction. I hope so.
Well, Psycho did it, so we can't say they wouldn't do that. But
poor Derek.
Sorry,
maybe that's what Halloween Ends will be, is a shot for shot remake.
I just had to grind my gear. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, I think as far as I know, we have some other films coming up, but I think that's the biggest one, at least when it comes to horror. And if I'm wrong, let me know.
My pick of the one I haven't seen yet, that I'm still very, very curious to see is the Candyman. I haven't gotten around to see.
Oh, you should see it.
The Candyman yet.
It's quite good.
Yeah, and I'm very, very curious to see it. So that one is the one that I want to make sure I definitely get in before the end of the year for sure. And Werewolves Within, which
you got to see that too. Yes. Yeah, you got to do both.
That's actually on mine. Yeah, that's one I got to see.
It just came on mine, so I gotta catch up on that too. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, I also want to see. I never did get around to seeing A Quiet Place Part 2. So
I loved it. I liked it better than the first one.
And it's on Paramount Plus, isn't it? So you got it.
It's on Prime. Yeah.
Yeah. So that definitely some accessibility there. And then another one, the M. Night Shyamalan movie Old, which I heard
Do
Jonathan, I know
it.
you really like that
I
one.
did.
wanna
I
see
liked
it, too.
Old.
I want to see.
I
it,
know a
too.
lot of people didn't, but I liked it.
I'm not running, but I'm walking casually.
Yeah, you can walk. I mean, again, it's one of those movies where it's not the best
Yeah.
movie in the world, but it doesn't deserve the hate it's been getting.
All right,
It
so we
takes a franchise in a new direction.
Oh gosh. Oh, so it is secretly
Love
a
it.
sequel to Glass.
God, could you imagine if like he showed up on the beach, Samuel L. Jackson? Like, oh, come on, man.
Spoilers.
We're putting a team together.
He's carrying Annabelle. But he's got the Nick Fury eye patch, but he's got the Mr. Glass haircut. Like, just everything's coming together in a really terrible way here.
Oh, someone go fund me this movie.
For some reason, Annabelle
And
like
then-
talks now, like Chucky.
And then the shark from Great Blue Sea comes out and just grabs him and pulls him back in.
I want this to be $300 million, not including promotion. And I want it to be. I want it. I want make every bad idea and put it on the screen.
Just an entire movie based off of my dumbass stream of consciousness.
Yep.
It's a crossover of crossovers.
All right, so we got Drebit down for what? I've already
Candyman.
forgotten Candyman, and maybe if you get around to it, Resident Evil.
Yes, and throw in the Night House while you're there.
The Night
Ooh,
House.
yes, I want to see that.
Derek, we got you down for Old and for Jesus. I can't remember what people are saying.
Oh, Quiet Place Part 2.
Quiet Place Part 2. All right.
Yep.
Jonathan, you want to go next? Or you want me to go?
Yeah, no, I'll do it. The biggest limiting factor for me has been the theatrical only releases, which, like, come on, like, we still got a pandemic going on.
Yeah.
I'll pay because before I would treat my family to the movies, I'd pay a lot more than the $29 that Disney was charging. So if we can do, like, if I can have my whole family together and we can watch a movie, like, we'll pay $29. Like, I would think that should be enough. And so anyway, Last Night in Soho is a big one I've been wanting to see. So that's
yes.
my that one I definitely will watch. I mean, honestly, I'll probably watch it this weekend.
Is that streamable or is that theatrical only?
It's hitting streaming in like 2 days. Actually, no.
Oh, really?
Listeners,
What a
it's hitting
pleasant
streaming
surprise.
today.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's good because actually with everything coming out in theaters, it's already like, even, if you did feel safe going, it's like already pretty, at least around here, it's already pretty much out of theaters. So
Yeah, and if people want to go, like I said, there's no problem with that. People are triple vaccinated. People are wearing masks, but I do have some, some immune compromised family members. So anyway, so we're not taking the chance. And so Last Night in Soho, I want to see. I'm going to have to wait on Resident Evil. I want to see it, but I'm not going to see it until it, till it hits VOD as well. So I guess the other one's The Deep House. The Deep House seems really interesting because it's scuba divers that find this haunted house, I guess. And, I'm my family's all certified for scuba diving. And so, it's this French film. So I'm like really kind of curious about exactly like what happens. I mean, again, I think from like a filmmaking standpoint, it's really cool, but it's like a, remote lake. And I guess they find a haunted house under the water.
I'm intrigued.
yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah. So
It's not even secretly like a 47 meters down movie.
It is not. So,
They
so anyway,
weren't taking the franchise in another direction with that one.
no, but so that one's on my list. I'm going to try to see that before the end of the year.
Nice.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. If I don't see the Halloween Kills alternate cut before the end of the year, I will die. I will literally.
We did talk about doing a virtual watch of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many questions I have for additional content and alternate content.
Scott, is that like one of the few times where, like, if it was 3 hours long, you'd be down for it?
Oh, I'll revel in it. I'd bathe in it. I'll marinate in it.
Well, I'm actually interested in seeing. I have a hypothesis. I don't have any And that's what I'm saying. Allegedly, I don't have any proof of this, but it feels like certain movies, well, and I will name them, but I just was starting with this. Certain movies are a little shorter than expected. And I think it's probably because they're optimizing for like theater counts and to make sure enough people can see them. Because during COVID, you know, they want these movies to turn a profit. But it's like Halloween Kills definitely, like I said, feels a little short. I know we said it was all over the place, but the big one for me is like Candyman feels in areas like it's on fast forward. And so I saw when it was on, they're talking about it coming to with extended and like extended deleted scenes, and I guess an alternate or extended ending. I don't think they reintegrated it into the actual full film. Like I would love to see a director's cut or an unrated cut, because I feel like that movie needs like another 20 minutes to breathe.
And I think I heard they cut a solid 20 to 30 to get it down to the 90-minute running time. So yeah, and that's it really feels like that. And so there are, just like I said, a couple movies that have come out where I'm like, I think these got trimmed because of COVID. So I would just I'd like pieces, you know, whatever pieces restored. And I get the business side of it. So if like they had to cut it down so that people could see it, so they can continue making movies, you know, for those filmmakers, like fine, I get it. But yeah, I'd love to see an extended cut.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That was definitely, I wanted like just more content or more. That was I just wanted to see more of that movie, and I enjoyed what I saw. So
that's the most basic element of movie. When you want more, I want more movie. Give me more movie, and that falls under that category.
So
hey, Brian, what's
we had before we jump to Brian, I just want to point out that none of us have seen Army of Thieves, and what's wrong with us after the epic?
I refuse to watch that movie.
Why
did that movie get made?
After the epic episode we had for Army of the Dead, if we're gonna, because they're doing Planet of the Dead, if we're gonna be fully immersed in this backstory that they have going on, I feel like there's like little breadcrumbs in Army of Thieves. It's 2 hours and 7 minutes.
I don't wanna. Please don't make me.
We're gonna the next episode we're gonna have is gonna be not talking about Army of Thieves. You're gonna come on here thinking we're talking about What We Do in the Shadows again. And instead, it's going to be a watch along.
Clockwork Orange style.
It's going to be a watch along. Yep.
Just strap open my my eyelids.
Jesus, a watch along of Army of Thieves.
Oh God.
You say this.
Know that it was out yet.
Yeah, you say no. It came out under the radar. But yeah, you say this, but you're going to love it. You're going to love it.
I don't think I'm going to love it.
Everybody's going to love it.
In fact, I would bet I'm not going to love it or even like it.
If I didn't love Army of the Dead, there's no way in hell I'm going to love Army of Thieves.
Yes, take Army of the Dead, but take out all of the zombies. You're left with just the good stuff.
Next, you're going to say that you're not going to watch the anime series that's coming out too.
No, I think we committed to this. I believe we all committed to this before, to this journey.
Only because I know I'm recorded, I think I'm going to have to cop to the fact that, I think I did commit to that.
You know what? I have no doubt that I did without even knowing, or did know and do not know now. And who cares? Sure. All right. Whatever.
Still not watching Army of Thieves, though.
Army of Thieves.
I'll do the animated.
I'll do the anime. I'm not doing Army of Thieves.
And what's this Planet of the Dead? Is this a sequel to Army of the Dead?
Yeah, that's what Zack Snyder's calling it.
Oh, Jesus wept.
So I guess that's me now, huh?
Be fucking Comet of the Dead next.
No, it's gonna go Galaxy, then Universe.
Yeah.
So I've got one movie and one TV show that I'm putting on my to-do list that I'm committing to. So first, the movie. I've wanted to see this for the last couple of months. I just haven't gotten around to it. But Prano Bailey Bond's Censor.
Oh yes, I've heard of this too. Yeah,
it's on Hulu now. I've heard really good things about it, and it's one of those movies that I've heard has kind of some dashes of giallo elements, and I find that I usually tend to like those movies more than I like actual giallos. So like, your the editors and Knife and Heart. So I think this is going to be something that lines up with me. For those who aren't familiar, it's about a woman who works as a censor during the video nasty era, and she sees one that seems like strangely familiar. So it kicks off this whole mystery about what's going on with her family and kind of her association with what's depicted in one of these video nasties. So I'm told it's very visually very interesting to see. I've heard that any of the people who I've seen have said it's really good. So I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about it too. That's one that's let's just throw it on the pile, kids.
Yeah, you should see it before end of the year. It's a really clever story.
Nice.
I liked it.
Cool.
Okay.
And for those who have been paying attention or haven't, Chapelwaite, I think we're 6 episodes in of the 10, and it's quite good. There's a lot of really good stuff in it. I'm not 100% sure, and maybe this is a topic for another day, that it needs to be 10 episodes. There's already some stuff, that it could probably, it would be a really tight 6-episode thing, but whatever. Adrian Brody is really good in it. The whole cast is really good, and it's an interesting story, and I have 4 episodes left to go.
I was going to ask you about that because I think because it is the way it's being distributed, I don't think like as many people are necessarily like aware of it right now, but
yeah, for sure.
I'm really curious about that because I love the whole like the Jerusalem's Lot story by Stephen King and just the whole mythology of the town, and like that this is kind of like an origin story for that, I think is really interesting.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say they do take their time getting to the mythology, giving you little tidbits and whatnot. And then by about the 4th episode, when we take our first trip to Jerusalem's Lot, which at this point, even still, is a deserted mining town.
Oh, wow.
That is where the vampires live. Yeah.
So, and is it in like the 1800s then?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's quite good. It's quite good. Like I said, when all is said and done, does it need 10? I don't know, but we're enjoying it quite a bit. And like I said, Adrian Brody is, I'm hot and cold on him. I think he's really good here.
Nice.
Well, my TV commitment won't be Chapelwaite, but it will be. I will finally take the plunge into a Mike Flanagan series. I've only ever done his movies, but I am going to do Midnight Mass before the year is out.
Ooh.
I have to finish that as well. I've only seen we've only watched the first one.
I've just I hear nothing but what a solid series it is. It's only 7 episodes. And I really, really like Rahul Kohli, who he's remember great. from iZombie, and I'm told he's amazing in this. So I'm gonna take the plunge, and then who knows, that might finally give me the kick in the rear I need to go back to his previous 2 outings as well.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be very curious to hear what you think. It's quite a ride. Buckle up.
It's like the movie. It's like a what do you call it? You're like a commercial announcer.
Right. I stole that from Kevin Harlan with when Kevin Garnett used to dunk and he would say "buckle up," but that's the I'll save that for our Timberwolves episode.
That was your inspiration for that quote. "Buckle up" was
it actually is, yeah. But
so it's a very uncommon phrase. So
it is. That's why it's an unusual choice of words together. Buckling up.
I know you've probably never heard it before.
I mean, generally, like the way seatbelts work, you would kind of buckle over and down more than up. So it's a really odd turn of phrase.
This is true.
Oh my gosh. it's
Never
one of
really
those
thought about
things.
it.
I tend to buckle aft.
Or buckle in. Wouldn't it be buckle in?
Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
As
Buckle
long
over.
as you use the seatbelt.
Okay, well, I think this is just time to end. We're not gonna do better than this. Come on now.
Well, that's a sad state of affairs.
We're not gonna beat the buckle
We
conversation.
don't want to do better than this.
No, if we do better than this, then they're gonna expect it every time. Okay, I'm gonna end before anything else happens. We want to
With
thank
my
Bryan,
bike.
our engineer, for helping us out each and every episode. And always, we want to thank, as always, we want to thank our listeners, including those of you who have signed up for a Corpse Club membership. You can head over to corpseclub.com and check out our episode backlog, our latest episode. And you can sign up to become a member. You can get a membership club card, a pin, a t-shirt. You can even pick an episode topic. So if there's anything you want us to talk about, I don't know, Army of Thieves for 2 hours, just let us know. I'm down. I know Scott is, Bryan, Derek. Don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Every rating and review really helps. And you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and all of your favorite podcast providers. If you want to get in touch, you can reach out anytime. We're at contact@corpseclub.com, or on Twitter, we're at Daily Dead News, and we're at Corpse Club. And on Instagram and Facebook, we're under Corpse Club as well. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, stay scary.